How have you done that?
Got it.
Recording in progress. I'm just
No, it's basically an inflammation of the fluid sac that every single person has on their elbow. And mine kind of just got 4 times bigger than it normally should.
do you know what's caused it?
No, I mean, it might be in the fact that I've planted 6,000 trees over the last 2 weeks, but apart from that, nothing.
So I think it's like repetitive. I don't want to drag our minds to the gutter. It's not like repetitive strain injury.
My left arm. So, my right arm is strong. I would look like Popeye on my right arm.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, yeah.
So you're time traveling right now because I'm tomorrow.
I know this will be the first like international interview that I've done, which even being the first one, it's taken us ages to kind of to get me head round. To be honest, it was good because you just did all the working out of time. You weren't like, that's what time it is there, so like let's do the interview at this time.
Well, I'll show you my phone. To be fair, I was wanting to do it earlier, and I just feel like shit. And I was like, okay, I'll just do it. It is 9:31 a.m. on my phone here because I've got it's backwards on my thing. Because I've got family in the UK as well, so I like to know what time it is. So Auckland, it's 9:31, and London, it's 10:31 p.m. So I'm sorry that it's so late for you.
No, it's all right. I'm really chuffed that we could get together and just have the chat because I've been looking forward to speaking to you for a while. Mm-hmm. Well, to be honest, the podcast's been great because it gives me an excuse just to like chat to some music buddies and
chat to friends.
Yeah, honestly, it's been great fun just like speaking shit with people and just having fun. And
are you allowed to swear on this?
If you want, I'll just mark
it. Okay, you've not got like a PG-13 rating.
No, man.
Oh, good.
So we'll just talk. However, if swearing comes out, then we'll just mark it as an explicit episode, and if it's clean, then it's fine for the children as well.
Well, you've already said shit, so it can't be.
Well, now you've just said it, so.
Oh, well, that's twice now.
Yeah.
I think if you say it like 4 times, you've got to rate it a bit higher. So.
Well, you'll be pro at this because you've done some podcasting before. I'm just new and starting out, so.
Yeah. Oh, it's all good. I gave up because I just ran out of time. It wasn't doing too bad, but yeah, I just gave up and so just keep going. You'll be good.
Yeah, I think it's such a learning curve with all this stuff, and you say it's just time, and I had to. I didn't have to start doing the podcast, but it's something I wanted to do for ages. And I've literally yesterday I finished my last ever exam with uni.
Oh, nice, man! Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Honestly, so
you've been doing that for ages because like you were even doing that studying. Was it part time you've been doing, or has it been full time?
Part time.
That's how long it's taken because it's taken part time.
It should have been. Well, it should have taken me 6 years part time, but I got so fed up with it. At the start of last year, and I'd said to my work, well, basically I was kind of half offered a job to go elsewhere, and I thought I could just go and just sack this study off because I was getting so sick of it. And I ended up, my work kind of convinced me to just do 2 years of study, like do 2 modules in 1 year and just get it done. Nice. So that's what I've done this year, but it's just I've had no life this year. Just So I've gave up all the gigging and all the other fun stuff just to do
mate.
And
and you're going to be doing a huge celebration.
I know. Well, I gave up all like everything, so like that's why like I've got fat again and like not been able to get out running, just eating like shit.
Oh, you're not fat.
Oh, I am, mate. I need to get back into it again.
You're
not as fat as I was. Hey?
You're sexy as hell.
Oh, cheers, mate.
Yeah.
I love you too.
Should we play strip poker on Zoom, and then you can give your listeners something to imagine?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, this might end up being a video podcast, or it might
be.
Okay.
Well, can you explain to me what's going on with my head then? Because like I'm bald and I've got like a triangle bit here above my left ear, and is it just my skin starting to flap over? I guess it's like, what is this?
Do you know what it is? Like when I'm at this side profile, I just buzzed my hair yesterday, and like check out that V that's going on there.
Oh well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like the Xenomorph's head.
Oh my gosh, you need to Photoshop yourself.
Yeah,
no,
it's not good. It makes you feel so self-conscious when you're on camera, doesn't it?
It does. I don't care though. So,
well, that's good, right? Because this is kind of what I want to speak to you about, and what I want to speak to people about in general. Is you're saying you don't care, and that's an attitude that I'm trying really hard to develop. That doesn't come naturally to me at all. I think I often care far too much about what other people think, and it stops me doing a lot of things. And I know a lot of other musicians are in the same boat. I'm just gonna, as we're speaking, I had something popped up there. I'm just gonna get rid of it. But yeah, like that. Something I've always really admired about you is that not giving a shitness of what you're doing. If you want to do something, you just do it.
It never used to always be like that, to be honest. Like I think high school especially, like that's when we started doing music together for the first time. I mean, like we were in you were my first band basically with Project 90. Project 90.
Yeah.
And some of the practice places that we had in Belford and stuff like that, in the old bank and the old fire station. It was exciting, but high school is a place that's real. Man, high school kids are shit. Like they teenagers are dickheads, and they can be real dickish to you especially when you're trying to be creative and just do something you love. And man, I got a lot of comments and stuff. I was just starting out, and obviously, I wasn't. I was always on stage as a kid. I did lots of theater and stuff like that, so I was all right with being in front of people. But singing wise, it wasn't a big thing for me, and I hadn't had a lot of practice. And this was a jam that we were doing. We were doing gigs, and every teenage band thinks they're going to be famous and all that jazz. And when you get hit with comments from some kids, saying, oh, you can't hit the high notes, or oh, you're doing really bad, or look, he's terrible. It does shake your confidence a bit. But after the few years that you kind of just do it on stage, you can see yourself improving. And from back then, if I remember one of our first gigs at the Norham Band Night.
Oh yeah.
Norham Band Night. And that was it was probably one of the worst nights of my life.
Really?
that was the first band night. You remember that one? That was when I got really drunk and got found in the urinal in the toilet. Because I had 3 liters of cider. Was it White Lightning over there?
Oh, Blackthorn or White Lightning.
And it was I hid it in some neighbor's bush before we went in, because we wasn't allowed alcohol in there. But I was so embarrassed about me and that gig that I just got absolutely drunk. And it was awful, because it was one of those, we got on stage. We had practiced for ages. We were pretty confident and stuff like that. But then you stand in front of that crowd of people looking at you. And I wasn't expecting that many people to be there. And I was so inexperienced with the whole gigging system. Like, I didn't even take the microphone off the stand. It was really low down. And I'm a tall bloke.
Yeah.
And I was bending over and crunching over, and I couldn't get my diaphragm working, and I wasn't performing enough. I could see my friend in the front row telling me to stand up and stuff. I just didn't. I just felt like I was terrible. And I just got off the stage and I went straight to my alcohol drink, got absolutely drunk, got found in the urinal, went outside vomiting everywhere. Your dad came and picked us up. And I remember your dad saying before he dropped us off there that nobody gets drunk. And I got in the car. Yeah, and I got in the car, leaning out of the window the whole time, and he didn't even take me to my house, my front door. I remember he just dropped me off at the top of the new bridge, and I had like a 10-minute walk by myself to get home. But yeah, that was awful, man. Like,
Do you know?
it was.
That's honestly, I wasn't aware at all that like that's how you were feeling that night. Like, I remember you getting smashed.
Yeah.
I kind of remember the gig. Was that where we played like Misfits, Scream and stuff like that?
We played, that was our set was Misfits, Scream. It was You're Not Alone by Homegrown. It was we didn't play The Darkness then. That was later on. Oh gosh, what other ones we had?
Finch.
Finch. We played Finch. We had Finch. We did Alien by Pennywise.
Yeah.
Remember? And we did
and honestly, like, but it's kind of blown my mind a bit because to be honest, like, I've always, so when I think back to that gig, when I think back to you in high school, I just think about you like at all. You always strike me as, I always think of you as someone that's got like bags of confidence and nothing would ever bother you. So when I've just heard you say that and like, you know, you felt embarrassed, that up until that very second you've just said that, that's never entered my mind that you would have been self-conscious about that, because I've always just looked at you as someone as like, you'll just get up and do it and you don't care.
It's a different side though, you know. Like, I think when you think of theater and learning lines and stuff, that's completely different to actually doing music and singing. I feel like you get more vulnerable when you sing. You know, when you actually have to sing or play music or something like that, you're kind of opening yourself up a bit more than just learning lines and reeling them off. And that's where I got my confidence from. So, you know, I was on stage and I could perform in front of people, and I could act pretty well. I was, you know, I like to say that that's probably one of my strongest things that I can do. But singing was something that I was just a beginner in. It was a completely different ball game. So when we first started the band, I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. Let's be good fun. You know, let's give it a shot. But when you actually had to stand up there and in front of people and kind of open yourself up a bit more and actually have some melody come out your mouth that people would recognize and not have a scratchy voice, not look like your balls have just dropped, and you know, and actually have to have a melody and sing. You're so worried that you're going to mess it up.
And I suppose when you're nervous as well, like, it totally screws your voice. Like, if I'm nervous playing the guitar, I can kind of get away with, I can mask it a bit, you know, it doesn't affect the actual, what I'm doing on the guitar an awful lot. But if you start getting nervous and, you know, your chest gets tight and your voice starts, you know, you shallow breath and like,
singing, it definitely is a different ball game than acting and stuff. You're opening yourself up to way more criticism than you would be by just learning lines. It's just, and I think that's what made me so nervous about it. And knowing after that gig that I'd messed it up because I was leaning down, I wasn't singing out loud. It was just a terrible gig for me.
Yeah,
you guys sounded bloody awesome. But I could see people judging me as I was watching, but that could have just been me. And I remember another gig where we've done a few more things, and we were getting better and more confident. We did I Believe in the Thing Called Love by Darkness.
I'm just thinking, mind, we were like, for us deciding to do that for anyone, what a bunch of dicks we were, even thinking like, Mark, just do that Darkness song.
We did it all right though. That one Norham night we did it okay, and the crowd loved it. And then remember, who was the guy that was in charge of running Norham Band Nights? I can't remember his name.
Was it MT?
Yeah. He saw the crowd going crazy for us singing that song, and I remember he came up to us and says, "Do you guys want to headline next time?" Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I was so chuffed to have.
And we were like, "Oh my gosh, hell yeah, let's do it! That was awesome, cool." And then, when we did it, the headlining slot, people came and enjoyed all the bands, and then as soon as we stood up for the headlining thing, everybody just seemed to like go sit at the side. Do you remember that? And like, there was nobody on the crowd, just sitting around the back. It was like, oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. And that's another hit in your confidence. It's like, oh, maybe we are pretty shit.
Yeah.
Nobody really likes us. We've got no fans.
But do you not think as well, especially at that age, it's kind of
Yeah.
like it's a lot of like popularity and
Oh heck yeah, definitely.
I've spoke to well, another guest I'm going to have on is Zenon, and I've
I
spoke to
love
him
Darren.
about this and talked about Zenon's mint,
Mm.
but I've talked to him about this when we were at high school, and I felt like there was so many different groups of people doing their own thing, and you always felt like there was like healthy amounts of competition, but I always felt like certain people or certain bands didn't like us, or certain
Yes,
people were,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
oh,
it's
totally, and it's not, you know, and you get a bit jealous as well. Like you
absolutely
like what was Zenon's band called? He had
this
it's
side
not
up,
that this side up, and there was Apple Cole Masters.
masters,
Yeah, they were brilliant. They were so good at
unreal.
what they're doing, and they were real good. But you got jealous, and then you kind of in your mind you think, and as a kid you're like, it's like, oh, it's just because they're popular at school.
Yeah,
When it's not actually, the bloody, you know, it might be slightly that, but they actually did really awesome music.
absolutely. See, when you
And I
listen
loved
back
it.
to that now, it's
Mm.
it was weird the other night. I'd actually sat up and listened to Espionage of the Look.
I love them. Me and my
Absolutely,
wife still listen. Me and my wife still listen to them in the car on when we're driving.
it's
Um,
mint. But you know,
yeah,
like
they're
all
real
the
good.
stuff that those guys were doing, like
Yeah.
Zenon, Liam, Brendan,
Mm.
was it Bob
Yeah.
and Noxie, and there was
I
like
never talked to them in high school. And
me neither.
I think it was because high school is such a shit place. Although
Yeah,
I miss it as well with friends and you know having you know just all that around you. But that kind of stuff where the clicks and the and stuff. We were in. I don't know what you would class yourself in, but I would class us as in between us.
I like
where yeah we would I like kind of had like friends in different parts.
absolutely. And it was what you've just said there is
Mm,
like when you're saying I didn't speak to those people, and
mm,
that follows you around like
yeah.
that whole. So currently, Zenon's he's teaching at the high school. Where he's doing some guitar peri work and stuff for me, like
Oh well,
at the high.
Eric.
Yeah, with me just
Oh
now,
hell yeah, that's so cool.
and I get to
That's
speak to
awesome.
him quite a bit about this, and like, and it's yeah, you think like, oh, I don't speak to them because I don't know if they think I'm an asshole, or if they think
Well, I
you know,
was so.
yeah, but you know, like you don't know if it's like you just don't feel like I've always felt like I've never fit into certain groups, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, well, I'm not the cool person, I'm not this,
Mm.
but you know what I mean, I'm not like the party animal, I'm not this person. It's like I don't
Hang
quite
on,
fit in with
hang on.
them.
We were pretty party animals. I mean,
Yeah,
do
yeah,
you not
but
remember
like,
Belford Cricket Club?
oh yeah, pints of
In the
wine,
middle of the
all
night,
that sort of
pints of
stuff.
wine and stuff, and walking through the fields at the middle of the night. We were party
Yeah,
animals.
but you know, like, it was just I always felt like I was never part of the scene that was going on. It was like we had our own thing going on.
Kind of slotted in. Yeah,
Yeah, and I was the same. I felt
uh,
like when you said in betweeners, that's exactly how
yeah,
I felt. Had
yeah,
friends in
yeah.
different groups and stuff, but never really,
Mm.
never felt like a part of it all. You know?
Nah, not at all. But you know, I've talked to them all like as best as I can. Sometimes you know, I've friends with them on Facebook, and when I used to deliver pizzas and stuff, I used to deliver to a few of them, and you know, have chats with them for 5 to 10 minutes, and you know, it's you kind of when you grow up, you kind of just realize, well, that was just stupid, you know, stupidness. Like they're actually real cool, and you know, you would get on anyways,
Yeah,
regardless. Um, and yeah, I often wonder like if I had just got over that in high school with the whole click system, would I have enjoyed it even more going to band nights and stuff like that? Is when you do music now in gigs, you kind of with the bands there, you don't get that feeling of jealousy or you've got more fans than me and stuff like that. You kind of just like, oh, cool, yeah, you know, you just hang out with each other because you're doing the same thing and you're doing the same, the passions that you share.
yeah,
Um, and it's kind of like you kind of egg each other on and you're helping them through. You didn't do that in high school. It's like you just felt
yeah.
jealous.
And I think because everyone's kind of coming to terms with themselves as well.
Yeah.
Like no one wants to say like things like I like this or I like that in case it's the uncool thing to like.
Yeah.
But I mean, secretly, like when I speak to people now and say like, I really like music by ABBA, but I like music by Pantera and like music by Slayer and like music by like all these different people. At high school, I would have been petrified to say that because people were like, "Oh that's shit," like why are you listening to that
Oh
for?
hell yeah. Yeah,
And
definitely.
it's just
I can name a few people now that I don't like to mention that I like things. Andrew Grenier.
he's came up
Literally,
on every single podcast I've had. Literally.
literally every time I say something that I like a band, he's like, "Nah, it's shit, mate. Oh, no, that's terrible." I'm like, "Can I not just like something, Andrew? Like bloody hell."
But that's the thing. It's like it's fine to like whatever it is that you like
Yeah.
whatever reason that like you're drawn to that. That's absolutely fine. And like
Oh hell yeah.
it's now when you're older, like you don't really care. Like, there's things I listen to. I'm into quite a lot of like gypsy jazz, and if I play it in the house, like Audrey will walk about and just like, "Oh, that's shit. Will you turn that off? It sounds like French porn music." And I'm like, "But I really like it," And it's like,
Good.
I can't help what I like. It's just.
So I also think an aspect of it is the confidence is when especially when you're first starting it, you're a beginner, but when you're that young, and naive, you don't think you're a beginner.
Yeah.
You think that you should just be the most perfect, or you don't have talent.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started singing in the band, I was absolutely shit. Like, and like from doing that.
I've never thought of you like that at all. So when you were with us, you're like looking back as an adult now, your voice was definitely developing, and like, when I listen back to old recordings, you can hear there's bits that you'll struggle to reach or whatever.
Yeah.
When we were playing live, I always felt like the energy that you had and like the character that you had on stage that outshone any of the sort of like technical imperfections. And then you disappeared off to New Zealand for a while, and then I hadn't heard your voice for pretty much since high school. And then I heard you with I can't think of your band's name again. The
Over
first
here,
band. Yeah,
the Silent Circus.
Silent Circus.
Yeah.
And I think it was a live video I'd seen of you there, and I was like, I can't remember who I'd spoke to. It might have been Greener actually, or it might have been Martin. And I was saying like, Jesus Christ, his voice has got like, like it was a lot of like the screaming stuff, and I was like, gee, it sounds unreal. Like how much
I got better. Like from like now I'm getting back into the musical scene and theater and stuff, and like it's got to the point where from the beginning of just doing cover songs and stuff like that and not being able to hit the high notes to now being cast as leads in musicals where you have to have the pipes to do it. Is for me a transition that's got, it's made me really confident. And I hate blowing my own trumpet, but you know what, screw it, I'm really proud of where my voice has got to, and I can only see it getting better. It's the point where I'm actually like, the theater I'm in at the minute, the TMT Tarong Musical Theater, that all of them are reading sheet music and stuff when they're doing, and I'm still just reading the lyrics. I can't read sheet lyrics, and they all know what notes that they're singing and stuff like that. They're like, oh, I can hit this B or an A, and I'm like, I don't know what what I'm singing. All I know is I can hit that note. So it's and they don't understand it. So when I came out of the we're doing We Will Rock You at the minute.
Nice.
The Queen musical, and I've got cast as Khashoggi, which is the guy that's saying the bad guy. He sings Seas of Rye, and it's got that really high note at the end. And I did it in the auditions, and I popped out, and my mate Cameron, he was like, "Mate, you just hit this note," and he was playing it on his little piano on his phone. And he goes, and I was like, "What's note's that?" And he was like, "Oh, it's I can't even remember what he said." And when I got home, I was like, "Oh, I didn't even think that I could, apparently it's not normal for people to be able to hit that note." And I'm like, sweet, awesome, that's cool, that's an improvement. I would never have been able to hit that, and that's higher than the darkness ones that I couldn't hit when I was a kid. So it's
do you feel like, have you done any like vocal training or anything like that, or have you just
heck yeah.
Yeah.
So I've went through. I've done. I went to college, Newcastle College, to do drama and acting, a national diploma in that. And through that whole national diploma, we were doing breathing exercises, diaphragm exercises, all that stuff. But it was never musical. It was all breathing and projection through the diaphragm.
Yeah.
And then after I finished that, I just did my own stuff and just did theatre and things like that. And then I went back and did university in Northumbria University in 2016, I think, and when I came back to the UK. And I did script writing and drama there, and there was a lot of that as well doing that. So it's one of those things that I do try and do, but I don't do it as much as other actors and singers do. Like, I'm sometimes backstage and I see people doing all these voice exercises and going and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I just sit and don't do it. And I think that could be a mistake on my part. I could be wrecking my voice later on in the future. It might be laziness. I just don't know. But sometimes I just feel like I don't need to.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's just me personally. So, I mean, I might give it a shot down the line and start doing that kind of stuff before I get on stage, just to see. I might use We Will Rock You actually as a little experiment, and through the whole run, half of it I won't do any voice exercise and kind of see how my voice is, and then the other half I'll do voice exercises beforehand and see how it works, and just see, you know, if that does make any difference to my performance.
Yeah. Do you know, I think I don't know if I'd spoke to you about this, but I did a week where I studied down in London with a group of musicians. I stayed in Greenwich, a place called, I studied at a place called Trinity College Laban, which is a conservatoire in London.
You sent pictures. Yeah, they didn't really tell me about it.
Oh, well, basically for the week, it was like a residential where we all got together and we were put in different bands. And honestly, it's been the best. I feel like I just bore people with it because I keep talking about it, but it was the best thing one of the best things I've done musically.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was really not looking forward to when I got the itinerary through was you had a choir every day. And I was like, oh, choir. I don't want to do choir.
Yeah.
And I'm not used to using my voice. Like, I'll sing backing vocals in bands and stuff. And you know, the choir was the best thing. And I got put into these different groups, and we like writing songs together. And there was parts where I was writing my own lyrics and like singing my own parts to the song.
Nice.
I've never really done stuff by myself before. And then when I got back from that week, I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to try and write stuff myself, and I always end up relying on other people. So like, I'd started doing the sorry, I've got a big message popped up on the screen saying you're running out of time, but that's fine. So yeah, like, just by using my voice and getting used to that, like, I've really enjoyed the process of trying to write something, writing lyrics, writing melodies. And something I wanted to ask you about was, so we've worked together in various different contexts of writing music, or, you know, you came over and we did the Asta La Vita stuff together, which is still, I still love all that stuff, man. I think that's mint.
Yeah, I wish we kind of got to do a bit more of that, to be honest. But yeah, it was good. It was good fun.
Absolutely. But I was gonna ask you, in terms of like lyric writing and melody writing. So for me, that felt incredibly personal and incredibly, like, at times really embarrassing to sit and try to write thoughts down on a page and then try and carve out a melody. Like, how have you, because you've been writing stuff since I've known you.
Another another experience from Project 90, which was another knock on the confidence scale, is when we were about to go to band practice, and I thought to myself, you know, I'll try and, we've got that recording of the backing thing. I'll try and write some lyrics to it and sing along. There was nobody in the house. I was listening to it in my room. The window was open, and I was just singing along. And I was just improvising some stuff. And I was like, I think I mentioned something about birds flying away or something like that, singing and things. And then I noticed that Callum and his dad was outside waiting for me and to take him to the band practice. And I got in the car and it was just silence from Callum and his dad, and they were sniggering. And I was like, "What? What's going on?" And he turned around and he just made fun of that lyric that I was improvising. And I was like, "Oh, fuck me." I was just an improvisation. But that was a big knock, like improvisation is something that needs to happen. Otherwise, it's not going to. You have to be wrong in order to learn something.
Yeah.
But if someone makes fun of it, that's what you worry. That's what I'm worried about. Is someone going to make fun of my lyrics being lame or too pansy, or and then you listen to other like big famous bands, and some of them are fucking terrible. Like they're so shit. And in the birds flying away from my windowsill isn't that bad compared to some of them. But I always remember those.
Try it, isn't it?
Like, yeah, exactly.
That's the whole thing.
And that's all I was doing, is improvising. I wasn't writing them down and saying that's going to be a Project 90 title song. La 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 la. And that making fun of was a big knock to the confidence, and I kind of stopped doing that for a while.
I think that's really important that people hear that, is because it's the same. See, like now I'm kind of we're both in our mid-30s, right? And when I was away at this thing in London, we were writing this song together as a group with a group of people I'd never met before. And we had a tutor called Aga, who's amazing, like just a ball of energy. But basically he says, we're all going to write a verse. And then there was just silence in the room. And he says, you write your verses down. And like she had like pang of panic. And like it was going round in a circle. And then I heard other people's lyrics and I was like, oh, they're really good. And it got to me and I went, I think my lyrics are shit compared to everyone else's. I'm looking at them here, and I don't really want to say them out loud. And he'd said, I think this is going to stick with me forever, because he'd said, every lyric that you look at written on a page looks shit. He says, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it like a Polaroid picture. Is absolute nonsense.
Of course,
he says in context, like, it works.
Can you imagine if I was singing that top of my lungs out the window to one of our songs? Callum would have done the exact same thing. He would have said, shake it like a Polaroid picture. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, oh, I'm just improvising.
But but that's the thing. Like, no one wants to put themselves out and then make an idiot of yourself.
But and I think that was another thing. Like when I got back, and you guys were all in the band. You and is it Martin Ives?
Eves,
Eves. You guys and Callum and Martin Gray were doing the singing and stuff like that. And obviously, I sat down with you guys. You were playing. It took me ages to even say anything, because I'm like I don't have any lyrics written. I'm worried about improvising. I'm even then, and that wasn't that long ago. What was it, 5 years ago? Even that.
Yeah.
Even then, I was just like, I don't feel comfortable to just improvise in that kind of musical thing. I'd rather have it recorded, and then I can do it in my private space. I find singing, jamming. You jamming with musical instruments is fine, because you can just play around. But singing, jamming is super uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable, because you don't have any lyrics, so you're just going to be jamming out random words. You kind of have to hope that the band's playing loud enough that they can't really hear what you're saying. And then you've got to jam a melody as well while you're singing, which is even harder. So yeah, I mean, personally, I like to sit in my room listening to a backing track or playing my guitar by myself, and then I'll do the melody first and just do random lyrics while I'm going, and try and get that melody done, and then I'll sit down and then I'll start writing like line by line with that melody, the lyrics, and then the lyrics get changed all the time. Sometimes to the very gig, I was changing lyrics to that song that we wrote for Asta La Vita until the very very first gig.
And it's. Are you okay if can I just reconnect with you, mate? Because it's going to cut us off. You got another sort of 10-15 minutes. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it's all good.
I'll reconnect just because we're going to get cut off mid-sentence. So give me 2 seconds. I'll send you another link.
Okay, cool.